Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to As Seen on Screen. I'm Nicole Sroka, and this is your source for all things entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. Well, welcome back to the show. I'm so happy you're here. Today, I want to share a very special episode with you. The 83rd annual Golden Globe nominations were announced this morning, December 8th, by Marlon Wayans and Sky P. Marshall, and I wanted to go over everything with you in film and TV to hear all about the surprises, the nominations, and some snubs. So let's jump right into it. As I said, these are going to be the 83rd annual Golden Globes taking place on January 11th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The show is airing live on CBS as well as streaming live on Paramount Plus. Nikki Glazer is returning to host the awards ceremony this year. She first emceed the Golden Globes last year and she did a phenomenal job. I loved her commentary, and I think most people did as well, so I'm excited to see her returning to have this hosting gig this year. Now, we're going to start off with all of the film nominations before getting into television today, and just so everyone listening is aware, any project to be considered for the 83rd Annual Golden Globes has to have been released between January 1st through December 31st, 2025. So there are some projects in here that haven't even been released yet and will be released over the next few weeks that are left in December, but they are still eligible to gain a nomination because they are released on or before December 31st of this year. So let's jump right in, starting it off with Best Motion Picture Drama. Now you have to remember, different than from the Oscars, most of the television and film categories are split into either drama or musical and comedy. So starting us off in this category, we have Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Now, I probably say this every single year when award season comes around, but it's such a tight race, and this year there have been so many great projects in both drama and musical and comedies that could have gained nominations. I have a few written down that I found interesting weren't nominated. Avatar, Fire and Ash, which of course doesn't come out until later in December, it was not nominated in this category. So the original Avatar from 2009 actually won this category in 2010, and then Avatar: The Way of Water also received a nomination in this category in 2023. So it's interesting that this third installment of the franchise, it's the first time it's not receiving a Best Picture in the drama category at the Globes. Also, some of my personal favorite mentions, I know these aren't necessarily award season considered, but I loved Black Bag this year. Black Bag was a great film, and so were Warfare and The Long Walk. I don't necessarily think those are, like race contenders in award season necessarily, but those would have been cool to see a nomination for. And last but not least, Train Dreams. Train Dreams has picked up some nominations in other categories, but I was surprised that it was not in the Best Picture drama category. Moving on to the Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy category, we have Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, and One Battle After Another. Now, this is a fantastic list. Again, this is going to be such a tight race, but there are quite a few titles I wrote down that actually jumped out that are not on this list. I think the largest one and most surprising being Wicked for Good. Now, last year we saw Wicked nominated in this same category, and I think a lot of people are very surprised to not see it on this list. I personally was very surprised by this. Obviously, Wicked has been such a phenomenon last year since it came out, and Wicked for Good was no exception. So it has picked up some other nominations in this award show, but I'm surprised it's not on this list. Another shutout on not only this list, but the entire 83rd Golden Globes is Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery. Again, the third installment of this franchise was not nominated in this category or any other category in the show. The original Knives Out received a nomination in this category in 2020, as did Glass Onion received a nomination in this category in 2023. So it's very surprising that we're not seeing Wake Up Dead Man in this list. It doesn't come out officially on Netflix until December 12th. It has had a limited theatrical release. I saw it at the Toronto International Film Festival this year. It did have quite a lengthy film festival run this fall, so I'm surprised that it's not on this list. It has been receiving great reviews so far, so that's another surprising one. I also wanted to mention some other, personal favorites or ones that I'm surprised that kind of fit that musical comedy category. Eternity is a great film. It's more of a, rom-com drama this year. It was a fantastic watch. It was a lot of fun. Rom-coms don't generally get a ton of award seasons buzz. There's certain genres like horror and rom-coms that aren't always recognized so largely, so I'm not surprised that Eternity isn't on this list, but I would have loved to see it there. Other films include The Life of Chuck, which won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival last year in 2024, but it officially came out this past June, so it was eligible for the Golden Globes this year, but completely shut out. Also completely shut out was Splitsville, Mickey 17, and The Naked Gun. Not that I'm saying any of these would be necessarily like frontrunners in my mind for this specific category, but I'm surprised we're not seeing at least some of them in some of the other categories. Moving into Best Motion Picture Animated category, we have Arco, Demon Slayer, the movie Infinity Castle, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Emily or the character of Rain, and Zootopia 2. Next up is Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Now, this is the third year for this category. It started on the 2024 awards, where Barbie won, and last year Wicked was the winner for this category. Now, if you need a quick explanation of what this category is, according to the Golden Globes website, it reads, "The Cinematic and Box Office Achievement includes nominees from the year's most acclaimed, highest earning, and/or most viewed films that have garnered extensive global audience support and attained cinematic excellence. This year's nominees are Avatar, Fire and Ash, F1, K-pop Demon Hunters, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Sinners, Weapons, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia 2. So just before this, I mentioned that both Avatar, Fire and Ash and Wicked for Good were not nominated for the Best Motion Picture Drama and/or Musical Comedy categories. So it makes sense that they're here. But the one thing I do find interesting about Avatar, Fire and Ash being here is it's not even out yet. So it's hard to say that it's, a cinematic achievement and a box office achievement when it hasn't even hit theaters yet for audiences to see. Now, if it's following any pattern with Avatar and Avatar Way of Water, of course it's going to be a hit. So many people love James Cameron's work with these films. They're looking forward to more films that are coming out with this franchise. But it's just funny to already see this here in a cinematic and box office achievement category. Personally, again, I'd love to see Sinners take this. Zootopia 2 was such a great watch, and I mean, I love Mission Impossible. K-pop Demon Hunters took over, I feel like, the world with that film. And F1 was such a fantastic film to see in the theaters, one of my very favorite watches of the entire summer, if not of the entire year. So I think this is a stacked category. There's so many great films on here, and I think it could be anyone's game. I don't even know what I'm leaning towards in this category. Moving on to Best Motion Picture Non-English Language, the nominees are It Was Just an Accident, No Other Choice, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sirat, and The Voice of Him Rajab. In the Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture Drama category, the nominees are Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love, Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, Tessa Thompson for Hedda, and Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. Started off, there's many surprises in this category. I'm pleasantly excited to see that Eva Victor is in this category for Sorry Baby, and I am equally surprised to see Julia Roberts gain a nomination here for After the Hunt. Not that I don't love Julia Roberts, I'm a huge Julia Roberts fan, have always been, but like many people who saw the film, both critics and audiences alike, After the Hunt was not very well received. It didn't gain great reviews overall. And so I'm intrigued to see that she is in this category. I will say that she did a great performance in this film. I thought her performance was very well done in this film, and it was definitely the standout for me. But just considering all of the possible nominees that could be in this category, all of the films we've seen this year, I am surprised that she's on this list. And the next surprise on here that I've also seen a lot of talk about today, there'd been a lot of talk about leading up to this for the nominations, is Sydney Sweeney is not on this list for her role as Christy Martin in Christy. I saw Christy back at the Toronto International Film Festival this year, and as far as sports biopics go, they're not the easiest films to make, and there are so many. Biopics are never easy films to make. When you're making a film about someone's real life, There's always going to be, what part of their life do you focus on? Do you focus on the entirety of their story? Do you only focus on one sole part? How does the actor who portrays this individual do? And I thought Sydney did a great job portraying Christy. I thought this film was very well done. I felt very impacted by this film walking out of the theater. It was very emotionally tolling for sure to see this story on the big screen. Definitely, I wasn't familiar with Christy Martin's story prior to this film, and so I felt like I learned a lot about her. I researched about her a bit after this film, and like I said, I thought Sydney did a great job portraying Christy, so I'm surprised she is not on this list for sure. Moving on to Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, we have Joel Egerton for Train Dreams, Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein, Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, and Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I feel like there was no real surprises for me in this list. Again, there are so many individuals that could be nominated for their fantastic work this year in the drama genre for this category, and all of these performances are so deserving. Next up, we have Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Cynthia Erivo, Wicked for Good. Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue. Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, and Emma Stone for Begonia. In the Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, we have Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, George Clooney in Jay Kelly, Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice, and Jesse Plemons in Begonia. Like I mentioned a bit earlier, Wake Up Dead Man was completely shut out of the Golden Globes altogether this year, and so we are not seeing Daniel Craig in this category. He previously received nominations in both 2020 and 2023 for the first two films in this franchise, but there's no love for Wake Up Dead Man here at the Golden Globes this year. In Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture, we have Emily Blunt for The Smashing Machine, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good, Inga Ibsdottir Illiles for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another. I'm happy to see that there is horror and thriller, scary film support here for the Golden Globes. That's exciting for Amy Madigan. However, I do have some thoughts on major snubs that we're not seeing in this category. I think the biggest shock for me that many people, I believe, thought was a frontrunner for this award for sure was Wumi Musaku for her role in Sinners. Haley Steinfeld was also not nominated for her supporting role in Sinners. I've seen some people speak about Gwyneth Paltrow already for her role in Marty Supreme not being nominated, but personally, I feel like Odessa A'zion was more deserving of getting a nomination in this role. I've already seen Marty Supreme and I loved the film, and Gwyneth Paltrow did a phenomenal job in her role in this film, but personally, out of not only the female supporting cast, but the supporting cast in its entirety, Odessa was truly the standout to me. I loved her character. I was very drawn in by her performance. I thought her emotionality and her presence truly stood out to me alongside Timothée Chalamet. So for me, I would have really loved to see Odessa and Wumi both nominated in this category. Something else I've seen online as well today is Jennifer Lopez did not receive a nomination for her supporting role in Kiss of a Spider-Woman. Moving into Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture, we have Benicio del Toro in One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Again, what is happening with Sinners here? It did receive quite a few nominations, I believe seven this year at the Golden Globes, but Miles Catton was shut out here in the supporting actor category. Very sad. This was his first major film role, and he blew me out of the water with his performance. I think it definitely was spoken about a lot when the film came out, that he was a standout for many people, so I'm sad for sure that he did not get a nomination here. In the Best Director Motion Picture category, we have Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Now, there's three that stand out to me that aren't on this list. Of course, we're not seeing John M. Chu nominated for his work in Wicked for Good. James Cameron did not receive a nomination for Avatar Fire and Ash, and neither did Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. Moving into Best Screenplay Motion Picture, we have Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier and Eskil Vogt for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao and Maggie O'Farrell for Hamnet. So in this category, we are seeing Josh Safdie receiving a nomination for Marty Supreme. Didn't gain one for Best Director, but is here for Best Screenplay. In the Best Original Score Motion Picture category, we have Alexander Desplat for Frankenstein, Ludwig Göransson for Sinners, Johnny Greenwood for One Battle After Another, Kang Ding Ray for Sirat, Max Richter for Hamnet, and Hans Zimmer for F1. And rounding out our film categories, we have Best Original Song, Motion Picture, Dream is One from Avatar Fire and Ash, Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You from Sinners, No Place Like Home and The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good, and Train Dreams from Train Dreams. Moving into television, our first category is Best Television Series Drama, and the nominees are The Diplomat, The Pit, Pluribus, Severance, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. One notable shutout is Stranger Things. They were completely shut out of the Globes altogether again this year. Now, they were nominated in 2017 and 2018, but they haven't been since. The show altogether has actually never won a Golden Globe, but they've won numerous Emmys. Also shut out this year was The Handmaid's Tale. The final season aired earlier this year, and they did not receive any nominations again this year. Moving into Best Television Series, Musical or Comedy, we have Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, and The Studio. Personally, I'm very excited that The Studio is on this list. I think I would say that The Studio is my number one favorite new show of the year. I've had so many different favorite shows over the year, but The Studio is definitely very high up there. I loved it. Now, one show that I'm very sad about that was completely shut out of the Golden Globes was The Residents, a show on Netflix, and I'm very sad to see that it was not on here. Also not nominated this year was Your Friends and Neighbors, which was a new show earlier this year on Apple TV. It was renewed for a second season, but we are not seeing the show or any of the cast gain any kind of nominations here at the Golden Globes this year. And lastly, Wednesday did not receive a nomination in this category. The first season did receive a nomination in this category back in 2023, but this year's second season did not gain a nomination here, but we will see one a bit later on in this list. Moving into Best Television Limited Series, Anthology Series, or Motion Picture Made for Television. The nominees are Adolescence, All Her Fault, The Beast in Me, Black Mirror, Dying for Sex, and The Girlfriend. One limited series I wanted to point out that I would have loved to see a nomination for in this category was Hal and Harper. Fantastic series this year, and very sad and kind of surprised, honestly, following such positive reception that it did not get a nomination in this category, or at all in the Golden Globes. Moving into Best Performance by Female Actor in a Television Series Drama, the nominees are Kathy Bates for Matlock, Britt Lauer for Severance, Helen Mirren for Mobland, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, Carrie Russell for The Diplomat, and Ray Seahorn for Pluribus. Moving into Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Television Series Drama, we have Sterling K. Brown for Paradise, Diego Luna for Andor, Gary Oldman for Slow Horses, Mark Ruffalo for Task, Adam Scott for Severance, and Noah Wyle for The Pit. I'm excited to see who takes this award home because The Pit has been so widely talked about this year. Noah Wyle took home an Emmy for his role in the show, so I'm excited to see where this goes because there are so many deserving actors and actresses in the female actor in a television series drama categories on these lists this year. Moving on to Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Television Series, Musical or Comedy, we have Kristen Bell for Nobody Wants This, Iowa Debris for The Bear, Selena Gomez, Only Murders in the Building, Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face, Jenna Ortega for Wednesday, and Jean Smart for Hacks. I also want to mention again The Residents. I would have loved to see Uzo Aduba get a nomination for her role in The Residents. She did receive a nomination at the Emmys earlier this year, so again, I'm surprised we're not seeing her here on this list. I also want to mention that we don't have a nomination this year for Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary. She was nominated in 2023, 24, and 25, and she did take home the award in 2023. Best performance by a male actor in a television series, musical, or comedy. Nominations are Adam Brody for Nobody Wants This, Steve Martin, Only Murders in the Building, Glenn Powell for Chad Powers, Seth Rogen, The Studio, Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, and Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. I was already laughing this morning on YouTube and on TikTok and in the news, seeing all the discourse about The Bear yet again being put in the musical or comedy category. Truthfully, I've never really figured it out either. I have no idea why they consider a musical or comedy and not a drama, but here we are year after year. I also have seen a lot of surprised reactions to Glenn Powell receiving a nomination here for Chad Powers. Chad Powers did recently just get renewed for season two, so we'll be seeing him step into the role again. And I think this is an exciting list. Again, I think it's slightly hard to tell who might be the front runner here, but there's so many great names in all of these categories this year for television. Best performance by a female actor in a limited series, anthology series, or a motion picture made for television. The nominees are Claire Danes for The Beast in Me, Rashida Jones for Black Mirror, Amanda Seyfried for Long Bright River, Sarah Snook for All Her Fault, Michelle Williams, Dying for Sex, and Robin Wright for The Girlfriend. I personally loved The Girlfriend. At this point, we honestly just need a whole award show for Prime Video series themselves. Prime Video has been killing it this year, whether it be YA and book adaptation series or limited series here like The Girlfriend. They've had so many great television shows this year that it's phenomenal. I would love to see Olivia Cooke also get a nomination here for The Girlfriend. I loved her and Robin in The Girlfriend. They both did phenomenal jobs at their roles. If you've seen the show, you know they butt head to head the entirety of the series, and I think they both did a phenomenal job. So I would have loved to see Olivia here. I also mentioned Helen Harper didn't receive any nominations. I would have loved to see Lily Reinhart get a nomination in this category, but those are my personal opinions for those. Now, best performance by a male actor in a limited series, anthology series, or a motion picture made for television. We have Jacob Elordi for The Narrow Road to the Deep North, Paul Giamatti for Black Mirror, Stephen Graham for Adolescence, Charlie Hunnam for Monster, The Ed Gein Story, Jude Law for Black Rabbit, and Matthew Rhys for The Beast in Me. I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised to see Jacob Elordi get a nomination here for The Narrow Road to the Deep North, another phenomenal limited series by Prime Video earlier this year. And funny enough, I was actually in Australia when this series came out and I watched it there. Just fantastic job. All the cast there did phenomenal. Odessa Young was also a big standout to me in that series, so I would love to see her get a nomination in these categories for female actor in a limited series as well. But I'm very happy to see Jacob Elordi not only get recognition for Frankenstein, but also his role in this limited series. Stephen Graham, I think, might be, in my opinion, the frontrunner for this award. I mean, Adolescence was fantastic. We saw him take home an Emmy for this role, but there's so many great names on this list too, so it's hard to tell. But my personal guess, and honestly hope, is Stephen Graham because his performance was just captivating in Adolescence. Moving into Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role in Television, we have Carrie Coon for The White Lotus, Erin Doherty for Adolescence, Hannah Einbinder for Hacks, Catherine O'Hara for The Studio, Parker Posey for The White Lotus, and Amy Lou Wood for The White Lotus. Like I mentioned earlier, I loved The Studio, probably be one of my very favorite series of this year. I'm very sad to see Chase Sue Wonders did not get a nomination in this category for The Studio. And a big surprise here is that Kathryn Lanassa did not get a nomination for her supporting role in The Pit. In Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Supporting Role in Television, we have Owen Cooper for Adolescence, Billy Crudup for The Morning Show, Walton Goggins for The White Lotus, Jason Isaacs for The White Lotus, Tramil Tillman for Severance, and Ashley Walters for Adolescence. This is a crazy category. There are so many fantastic roles that are being nominated here. I mean, Owen Cooper for Adolescence and Ashley Walters for his role in Adolescence were both fantastic, but you can't deny that Owen, at such a very young age, is doing fantastic roles like this already. It's so impressive. I've always loved Billy Crudup in the morning show. He's been my favorite character in the morning show since the first season, so I love seeing him get nominations for this role. And Severance was also one of my very favorite series of the year, and I was really hoping that Trammell would gain a nomination in this category. I do want to mention I would love to see Ike Barinholtz get a nomination for his supporting role in this studio, but this is such a stacked category. It's anyone's game. So many fantastic performances, so it's very hard to choose and narrow down. Next up, we have Best Performance in Stand-Up Comedy on Television. We have Bill Maher. In Bill Maher, Is Anyone Else Seeing This? Brett Goldstein in Brett Goldstein, The Second Best Night of Your Life. Kevin Hart in Kevin Hart, Acting My Age. Camille Nanjiani in Camille Nanjiani, Night Thoughts. Ricky Gervais in Ricky Gervais, Mortality. And Sarah Silverman in Sarah Silverman, Post Mortem. And last but not least, we have the new category for the 83rd Annual Golden Globe Awards. This is the first year they're introducing the Best Podcast category. The nominations are Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, Caller Daddy, Good Hang with Amy Poehler, The Mel Robbins Podcast, Smart List, and Up First. So, those are all of the nominations in film and television for the 83rd Annual Golden Globe Awards. Again, they're airing on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus live on January 11th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm excited to hear what you think. What are your thoughts? Are there any snubs or surprises that I didn't mention here that you were surprised to see this morning? Let me know in the comments, and we will be talking more about the Golden Globes here leading up to the award show. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of As Seen on Screen. I'm Nicole, and you can find us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. We'll see you next time. Bye!